Welcome to another Comics Burst from the Full Force podcast, sponsored by Distant Planet Comics and Collectibles, where we take an in-depth look at the newest G.I. Joe comics and related titles of the week with me as your host, Chris Glass Half Empty McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80. Joining me on this episode is Brian Glass Half Full of Lucky Charms, Hickey. On this instalment of your absolutely favourite kind of burst, we look at the fifth part of Snake Hunt, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero 270 from IDW. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this comics burst. Snake Hunt Part 5. Cobra Commander wants a Snake Eyes of his own. The Joes have other ideas. It'll take two armies to settle this dispute. It's all hands on deck for both G.I. Joe and Cobra as living legend Larry Hama and fan favourite artist Robert Atkins continue their massive 10-issue event featuring every single member of G.I. Joe. Even the dead ones. So before we get into it, let's have a quick butchers at these gorgeous covers that we've got. So first up, we have cover A, which is Robert Atkins on art, Tom B. Long on colours, and it is a beautiful Snake Eyes image of him kind of walking out of the water with explosions and all sorts behind him. And this actually homages an issue of the original Marvel series where Cobra Commander's coming out of the sludge, and it's all about eco-warriors and all that jazz. What do you think about this one, Brian?
That's great. I mean, obviously, I didn't get the homage because a lot of that original Marvel Run stuff would have passed me by as I was a Battle Action Force reader. But Robert's work is amazing, as always. And we have this kind of Sean Collins, aka Throwdown, aka Snake Eyes, coming out of this kind of quagmire of destruction. It's a superb piece from Robert.
Yeah, really nice, that one. Obviously, we continue on the incredible cover B, which is art by Jamie Sullivan, colours by Rogier van der Beek and Audrey Sullivan. And this is obviously, again, another part of the puzzle. The massive, huge blimmin', I don't even know, like frieze that he's done in front of the original headquarters with all of the original Joes. And now we've got Rock and Roll, Short Fuse, and I believe Grunt sitting on the back of the tank in the background as well.
Yeah.
Also the mobile missile systems in there, the flak cannons in there. It's really cool. There's a lot going on in this one, isn't there? I'm
loving these Jamie Sullivan covers. I think I'm missing one of them, so I want to get that, because when this is completed, I want to have the full Jamie Sullivan run. Really liking these, and I want to be able to put that jigsaw together and share it on the Full Force page.
Exactly. So yeah, that'll cost you some money on eBay. And we've also got a cracking John Royal cover again here, with Alpine scaling up a cliff, being attacked by Cobra Trouble Bubbles all over the place, and he's kind of firing at them and everything. This is really cool, isn't it? Really action-packed. Obviously, has nothing to do with what's going on in the issue, much like all of John's covers, but they're always so spectacular, aren't they?
I think the brief was, John, just draw some awesome here, and we'll stick it on the cover, and that's and that's what he's doing. This was teased a couple of weeks back, and it's an amazing action-packed piece. John Royal and
Jagdish Kumar, I think, as well.
Jagdish Kumar are just nailing these covers. So, and there's even a little tease for next month's John Royal cover at the end of this issue too, which looks pretty awesome.
And also, we should mention James O'Frady on colours on that one as well. And then finally, we've got more Eastside Comics exclusive covers. This time we get Cobra Commander. We've got two of them. We've got the very modernised, almost like Retaliation style Cobra Commander helmet on the left, and then we've got the kind of, again, this reminds me, obviously the hooded Cobra Commander, but it reminds me of the design they did for Reloaded way back in the day. It was a G.I. Joe Reloaded, and it looks very much like that Cobra Commander on the cover there. But again, really impressive, very kind of, I don't know, just really intricate, very complex digital kind of art here, isn't it?
Beautiful, very dark. I love that they went for the Retaliation aesthetic for the battle helmet Cobra Commander, and obviously the mask Cobra Commander. I mean, he looks like a Shakespearean tragic character almost, combined with a horror movie. It's magnificent.
Yeah, he's got his hands up as if he's kind of clawing at his face in a weird way, or it's really, really interesting. And I like the fact that they've even gone to the extent of putting the kind of ribbons on the battle helmet Cobra Commander and the kind of that kind of shoulder rope that they always have, that kind of like weird decorative piece that you always see on military uniforms. But anyway,
the epaulettes and cape, yeah, absolutely. And just one on the masked Cobra Commander, where the Cobra emblem just kind of bleeds off at the bottom, like these blood tears under his eyes. I mean, it's just beautiful artwork.
Really cool. Well, let's get into the actual issue then. So at the moment we start off at Revanche Corporate HQ in New Jersey, and Zartan in the last issue had just rescued Destro and the Baroness by, transforming into one of the Revanche robots, and then obviously revealing himself and destroying one of the robots with that crazy lightsaber. And here we have him using it in an awesome opening panel.
Nito Diaz is bringing the heat for this one. This is just amazing. Open the cover, straight in, all-out action, and we've got Zartan hacking and slashing his way through blue ninjas with Destro and the Baroness in his wake, literally getting in with their bare hands and ripping weapons off some of these androids that have just been sliced and diced by Zartan, and then using those weapons on the blue ninjas themselves.
She even says using their own weapons against them is so satisfying. An endlessly replenishable resource. I love that. Really cool.
Oh, yeah. The banter between Baroness and Destro throughout all of this ARH run is fantastic. These two are just made to be together. And I love how Larry writes for these characters.
Totally. And then obviously the Dreadnoks turn up in the Thunder Machine, which again, it's lovely to see that, drawn so beautifully as well. Like that again, that panel where the ninjas are flying, or the androids, the Revanche androids are flying out there with their lightsabers, and you've got everyone like shooting and trying to jump on the car. The car, Thunder Machine looks fantastic. You've got Thrasher driving it. No, you haven't actually. Thrasher's on the back.
Oh, it's Arah. It's Arah. That's it. Start up your chainsaw buzzer. Up and running, Zarana. So yeah, that's.
I'm an idiot. Zarana. I'm an idiot. Sorry, apologies. Yes, and Zarana's driving. Yeah, brilliant. That's all staying in. That's what I want people to know how much of an idiot I am. So obviously, peel out Zarana. That sounds gross, but that's what she does. And then as they escape like from the Revanche droids, who turns up? But the behemoth class battle android turns up and smashes in front of the car. They're like, oh my god, what are we going to do? And who turns up to save the day?
Road Pig.
Awesome. Absolutely takes out. It's really good because I think this is Donald at this stage because he sounds very articulate. But yeah, obviously he's got that kind of multiple personality thing going on. And he says, funny how operational functionality is seriously degraded by obliterating the CPU, which he's just obviously smashed this thing in the head with his giant cement block on a stick, basically, cinder block.
We've got 3 pages of full-on action there. Doesn't come much more action-packed than that.
How dark is that? Yeah, how dark is that scene, though, with that kind of silhouette of Alpha 001 at the end of that kind of run of play?
Oh, yeah. So obviously observing the entire escape and listening in on the conversation that Destro's having with the Dreadnoks and the Baroness. And, Destro, says, look, we haven't seen the last of Alpha 001 Prime. He's like a persistent computer virus. And we just see the silhouette of Prime there in his kind of basement level with all his controls, like Big Brother looking at everything. And he says, truer words have never been spoken. So
eerie.
We have not seen the end of this guy and his techno army.
And then we flip back to Manhattan and we have G.I. Joe and G.I. Jane in the... I always forget what tower it is. Always forget what it is. The
Chrysler Building.
Chrysler Building. Thank you. So they're in the Chrysler Building with that massive laser that they have, but they've obviously the Star Viper in the last issue took out their satellite, so they've basically rendered that completely useless. And because of that, they're talking about, right, we've got to get a new satellite up there. And she's like, well, we've got parts in the inventory, Joe. And I can assemble a tech team to build it, but it's going to take at least a week. And he says, you've got 1 day. I don't know how that's even possible, but it's foreshadowing a little bit that they're trying to get that laser back up and running.
It's obviously going to play a key role in their strategy to recover Snake Eyes. Larry's doing a lot of jumping across our different factions in this particular story in this issue. So we get this, 1 page on G.I. Joe, G.I. Jane. And look, let's face it, we've all been in work and we've got that brief from our boss where he says, you've got 1 day. And we pull that out of the bag.
Yep.
G.I. Jane's going to make it happen.
G.I. Jane's got to build a satellite in a day. She's going to be able to do it. She's a woman. She'll do it. No
And get
worries.
it launched.
No worries. And then we get back to Utah, and obviously the Joes are prepping for a huge kind of battle. They're getting everything.
I've got to tell you, I was so excited reading this. The mobilization is just, I mean, I was really stoked reading this here.
Yeah, what's interesting is obviously the last issue I was a bit upset about because we kind of slowed right down and we were doing a lot of kind of, faffing about. This issue is what last issue should have been. It should have been quick response. It should have been, right, we need to get our in gear. But that should have been the last issue, not this kind of like lull where nothing really happened. Just kind of like highlighted where everyone was in the issue. So this is what I think, if you're going to do, this is how it's done right. Unfortunately, we've already had that issue previously where nothing really kind of happened. So what this acts as is obviously a kind of an evolution of that last issue, which, they should do anyway. But yeah, what we have here is we have Law and Order kind of organising the guys to kind of drive their vehicles into the C-130. While Bill's there, they've got help. They're getting even more help from the National Guard, and they're incoming. So there's all this kind of like the logistical nightmare going on where they're trying to organise all of this stuff. We see into the pit again. We see everyone mobilising. We see Dial Tone, Mainframe, Psych Out. We see Jay, Duke, Hawk. We see all sorts of different characters in here.
Loads of vehicles in here too.
Yes.
We've got our APC or the
Wolverine,
ATC. We've got the
Armadillo.
van.
Yeah.
The Wolverine, the Armadillo. It's it's the All Striker. Like there's loads of references to the toys creeping in here.
It's great. It's really, really cool. We are starting to see like everyone kind of getting involved. But then all of a sudden, Hawk takes a phone call with his helmet on. Can I add? He's still wearing his helmet, mate. Take that off. You're not in battle at the moment. Just chill out. Takes the call, and it's basically they've been told to stand down. And everyone, like the National Guard, turn away. And then the mobilization they're doing, it's like, right, everyone get back in the pit. We've got to get this done, and like absolutely, lightning quick. And it's like, ugh. And then it's like almost like your heart is ripped out of your chest and you feel for them that, and you can even see Order's face on that last panel. Can you see that? Order, the dog, he's kind of like he's like really upset looking.
He's gutted, yeah. I got to say, props to Nito Diaz here. I mean, he's done some great artwork. When you see Hawk post getting that phone call from the Department of Defense, he's leaning against the wall, and he's just
you feel
devastated.
Yeah,
and like you say, even those little touches, even like the dog is like really, feeling that the whole operation's just been pulled out from under them.
I like that shot of Hawk leaning up against the wall. Looks like he's urinating, so I think that's brilliant. And then he turns around and he goes, "Guys, stand down. I'm just having a piss here." But no, you're right. Yeah, an Order looks like absolutely gutted. His like eyes are like. And then back to Springfield, and we've got Mindbender, Cobra Commander, some Alley Vipers. They're pulling out the characters as much as possible, and of course Laura 343 is down there with Throwdown, who is kind of wiggling around trying to get out of his jacket, and she's like, "I'm going to shoot if you don't stop moving."
We've got like this totally OTT security. Well, maybe it's not OTT security, but we've got Cobra Commander's in a panic. He's expecting all hell to break loose, which we know now is not going to happen.
Yeah.
But he's freaking out, and cuts them to Laura down the basement with Throwdown. She's not a happy camper, and we don't know where this is going to end. Like the last panel here is, I'm giving you 3 seconds to stop wriggling, and then I'm going to shoot.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't know what we have to wait till next month to find out what happens here.
Oh, there's a lot of quick movement here, and then obviously back to Fort Wadsworth, Staten Island. Stalker, Rock and Roll, Wade Collins and Clutch are all getting ready to go. Stalker gets the call to stand down, and everyone's like, again, really gutted. Come back to the East Village. We get the same thing happening with the Arashikage crew. You've got Scarlet, Budo, Helix, the kids, and Dawn Moreno and Granny. It's Milo, isn't it? I always forget Milo's name.
Milo.
And the same thing happens, and Granny says, "Well, I don't give a shit. The Pentagon can't tell me what to do, Scarlet. I've got a brand new brick in my bag, and I'm still going to get Sean back." And then everyone's like, "Right, well, let's do it then."
I love that.
Yeah.
And these guys just stand together, and they're the first people we see say, "Look, to screw Orders. we're going after Sean. I think that's great.
Well, it's true for Granny. It's like, what the fuck? She's like, I don't give a shit what they say. I'm doing what I want to do. So she's going to definitely go and do it. And then obviously whip back to the Jersey Meadowlands. Destro and the Baroness are having some food and drink, which is effectively grape soda and chocolate donuts, because that's all the guys have. That's all the Dreadnoks ever have. And they're having this conversation about what's happening. What are we going to do? You know, Destro's like, well, Zartan is saying that he's talking about the Snake Eyes situation, isn't he? They've captured Snake Eyes,
bringing them up to speed.
And Destro's like, well, none of it's my concern. However, I have my own bone to pick with Cobra Commander, and will with Revanche as well. So they're kind of working out what to do as well from their side of things, aren't they? So
there's kind of like an unholy alliance kind of happening here, where Zartan, his pitch to Destro is, look, okay, you're not into, rescuing, Snake Eyes, but if my goals and your goals aren't kind of clashing, maybe we can kind of find a compromise and work together. They seem on board, but obviously they're each motivated by different scenarios. So we'll see how long this unholy alliance holds up as the next 5 issues of Snake Hunt play out.
And then we get a flip on. Obviously, we get the little kind of chat with Crystal Ball where he's telling Zartan what's going on at Cobra in Springfield, and then also as he drives past on his little moped, telling him Cobra Commander's got this ridiculous house with loads of hiss tanks around it, so he's pretty sure the brainwave scanner's in there, or Snake Eyes is there. As he drives past, there's another van, and that's obviously running surveillance, like a food truck, and it's the October Guard. Now, what is interesting in this is that, obviously Horror Show has another one of his little glitches, and he's kind of whapped on the back of the head, and he's like, oh, thank you very much, Dragonsky. And he says, you've been acting strangely ever since that time when we all thought you were dead, Horror Show. So they obviously don't know. They obviously think he's alive. They don't think he's an android, obviously. Brekov does know he's an android, but I'm not sure if he is. So I'm so confused as to what is going on with the October Guard. This is the only thing that's really I just can't see what's going to happen here. Is it the case of, are they saying that Shrage, Storm Mavic and Brekov were saved and Horror Show died and Horror Show's the only android? Or are they all in on it? I don't understand what's happening here.
Well, clearly Dragonsky and Dana don't know that Horror Show's a droid, but the other 3 do. So we can at least establish that much. Are the other 3 androids themselves? We don't know yet.
Oh, I really want that to be resolved. I want to see some flashback information. I want to know what's going on there. But effectively, it's just to show that they're also running surveillance as well. Gives us a little kind of insight into the October Guard. But then we go back to the motor pool office, and Wade's really angry. He's like, I'm still going after my son. I'm going to go get him. And all the other guys, Rock and Roll, Stalker, and Clutch, they're all like, we've got you back, man. We're coming with you. We're going to do it. And then Clutch is like, we can't take any of the Joe vehicles, but I've got some off-the-record wheels stashed downstairs that might do the trick. And then we've got the homage of the whole story of Bongo, the balloon bear that happened in the Marvel run. Candy, who was Candy Ripcord kind of relationship scenario, and Candy was killed, obviously. So he kept the van and left it in storage, and Clutch has obviously been keeping it for Ripcord because too many memories and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they reveal that's going to be the vehicle they go and rescue Sean in, which I think is hilarious.
I love that. I wonder if it has some kind of modifications built into it, so that it can double as a military vehicle. But I mean, it does look ridiculous.
I mean, it's going to be stealthy in a non-stealthy way, I guess. It'll conceal who they really are until the last second, I guess. But that's fun. And then obviously back at the pit, we get the finale, don't we?
I love this here. We've got Steeler wants to have a word with Hawk and says, look, I need to take some leave. And Hawk says, yep, and so does everybody else. And the final panel is basically the entire crew at the pit queuing up to request leave from Hawk.
It's insane, isn't it?
I absolutely love that.
It's really cool. And again, it's a really good way of getting a lot of characters in here as well. You've got Repeater behind Roadblock, you've got Gung Ho, you've got a bevy of characters, Lifeline and Roadblock obviously at the front.
Seen Rakondo, maybe
Bazooka,
Flash, Covergirl,
Torpedo's in there.
We've got General Flag in there.
Lift Ticket, Windmill, they're all in there. Yeah, it's brilliant. So again, it's like it's them saying, we're going on leave, I wonder why, to rescue Sean Collins,
I know, it's deadly.
But it's just great, and I like that touch as well. It's really good, and everyone's like really just, they've got their mean faces on, apart from Gung Ho, who's got a big smile on his face, which is just brilliant. A really, really solid issue. And again, this is what I was saying before. Like, this is what should have happened last week. Should have been the last issue. This should have been the moment where it's the lull and they're deciding on what to do, and boom, this is where it's done right. And because I feel like in a 10-issue run, you've got to keep that action up. Yeah,
it's like you don't want this to turn into like a soap opera. It's 10 issues is not a lot of real estate, so you can keep the pace, keep the action going. Larry, I mean, we both felt a bit disappointed with last week's issue or last month's issue, but this here really brings the pace back into it in a major way, and sets us up for the Joes essentially going rogue. Effectively, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, what would you give this one as a rating then, buddy, to finish this one off?
I mean, I've been topping these all with the 5 potatoes, and this is obviously bar last month's, but this is coming in at a 5 for me. Really happy with it. It's loads of action, beautiful art from Nito Diaz on this one. I think Larry's doing a great job. He's top of his game on the Real American Hero run. So this is 5 for me. Can't wait for next month's.
I'm going to give it 4.5, and I'm only taking that little half off just because of the the damage that the last issue has done to this one. The fact that we've now had 2, I suppose, kind of like level kind of feeling and atmosphere issues in a row, but then also the fact that I still don't know what the is going on with the October Guard, and it's driving me crazy. And I'm worried that we're never going to get an explanation at any point. And you just say, Chris, let it go, but it's annoying for me that I don't know. We're not seeing enough of the October Guard. They get 1 page, maybe 2 pages at best in each issue, and I feel like if they're going to be utilised, and they are clearly going to be some sort of force involved in this Snake, Sean Collins extraction, etc., then why are we not seeing enough of them, and why are we not getting some explanation? I know it's difficult to kind of fit all that in, but that's why I'm going to go with 4.5 on this one.
I'm going out on a limb here. I'm going to predict that Larry will resolve the October Guard continuity issue before this run is out, and I am going to take a big risk and say that I think Revanche are behind these at least Horror Show. If he's the only droid, I think it's a Revanche droid.
Yeah.
And maybe some of that interference could be, they're coming from Revanche. Who knows?
Totally. Good shout, actually. Very good shout. Anyway, Brian, thanks for jumping on, mate, and chatting issue 270, Snake Hunt Part 5.
My pleasure, as always.
That's it for this instalment of the Full Force Comics Burst. Thank you to my awesome co-host, Brian Hickey. See you next time, and as always, Full Force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @The Full Force, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/The Full Force, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback or questions. We have also started a Patreon page, so if you want to see your name up in lights on these videos or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force. And a big shout out to our sponsors, Distant Planet Comics and Collectibles, located at 601 Business Loop 70 West Suite 263, located in the Parkade Center, Columbia, Missouri. You can visit their website at distantplanetcomics.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/Distant Planet Comics.